Hello, everyone. This is Dustin Hausner. I'm the Jewish Outreach and Program Director at the Wayne YMCA. Our programs are fully funded through the Jewish Federation of Northern New Jersey. Today, we have a really wonderful interview that I'm excited for. We're doing this, one, because I think it's just a wonderful organization that we're about to talk to, and we're also, this month is May, so it's Jewish American Heritage Month, which is really cool. But I would like to introduce for you the Executive Director of the Jewish Heritage Museum of Monmouth County, Jessica Solomon. Jessica, it's wonderful to have you.
Hi, great to be here. Thank you so much, even distantly, virtually. It's nice to have you. Good social interaction, especially in a museum when you're used to seeing everyone. And so it's been a great change in our lives. So we're eager to reopen. And yeah, thank you for having us.
No, fantastic. So why don't we start actually talking about the Jewish Heritage Museum itself? Like I had, growing up, I've heard of obviously the one in New York City, and you hear bits and pieces of other places, but I wasn't as familiar with the New Jersey one. So can you tell me a little bit of how it got started and what is it you do at the museum?
Yeah, so we're a hidden gem. We always say that. We're located in Fruit Hill, New Jersey. We're in an old barn from around the 1850s called the Levi Solomon Barn. And it's been a part of our history for a very long time. We actually opened June 2008. And since then, our mission is to present exhibits, programs, publications that celebrate, preserve, explore, and illustrate the rich and unique history of Monmouth County Jews and within its vicinity. And so how it came about was a book by one of the founding members, Gene Clerman, called Peddlers to Suburban Night, and they talk about the history of Jews. And the history of Jews in Monmouth County in America is a 300-year history. And so she wrote about the peddlers that came from Germany and then to them becoming big businesses like Macy's, Gimbel's, Steinbach's, all these big corporations that have been around forever. And so Jewish history is really hidden. And we need people and other museums to enrich people in it. And because it's something that has been challenged for years in the 20th century, World War II. A lot of Jews have passed away, unfortunately, due to political strife and heinous crimes. And so it is our duty to pass down stories of the voiceless and unheard that have been abandoned and to share people's lives to anyone that wants to learn and anyone who's willing to come to the museums or to read about it. And it's a formidable part of history, and we're glad to share it. And so about our barn, it's from 1850s. It is much larger than a normal barn from the colonial time. It's 6,000 square feet in total, and we're upstairs. So there's commercial space on the bottom. We're upstairs in the hayloft of the barn.
Okay.
So there would be animals downstairs, and above us, where we are, would be the hay. And so we have a hay hook from the time. And this barn lasted through a lot of rain and soil, and it was so well preserved by Nardi Hochberg and members of the museum's early foundation. And so we go around, we have items from World War II that impacted American history. So German Jews came to America around the 1800s to the 1900s, and one of them being Sigmund Eisner. And Sigmund Eisner opened a factory in Red Bank, New Jersey to build and make uniforms for the Spanish-American War. Well, unfortunately, those were made out of wool, and it was not good enough for people fighting in the Caribbean. And so the original uniforms were actually given to the Boy Scouts of America. And people don't know that the first uniforms of Boy Scouts that was used all around America was actually made in Red Bank, New Jersey.
I had no idea.
And and so there's hidden parts of history that a lot of people wouldn't know unless someone brings it forward. So that's our job. And I could probably go on for hundreds of years about history, but I'll let you control the meeting.
No, I definitely want to hear all about it, or at least, what an hour or two or so could do.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's wonderful that you're so passionate about this and so knowledgeable. So it's a wonderful thing.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I'm curious, well, two parts actually. One, I'm curious why this Heritage Museum was founded in Monmouth County of all places. I know you were alluding to that with a little bit of the founder. I would love to hear a little bit more about that. And then secondly, you were talking a little bit about Jewish heritage in the sense of obviously Jews have been here for over 300 years and, World War II. So I'm curious, why for you do you think there's a great relevance for, people needing to learn about the Jewish heritage?
Yeah, so the museum is situated in an area that is a lot of Jewish people live there, and it's actually one of the largest Jewish populations in the country. It's one top 10, I believe. And so this was a good spot for it because not only were Jewish farmers in that area at that time in freehold, where it was mainly farmland in colonial times, uh, much has happened in Monmouth County, Battle of Monmouth, and actually New York City. Wealthy people would vacation in Long Branch, and so there's just a lot of it all convenient in one place. And so it was the perfect place to have it. We had the opportunity to build something, and so we went forth with it. And it's just a new hub for people to learn and even just to connect with others that have the same heritage and lineage and stories that they want to share with others. And so we decided to open this museum, showcase a lot of histories of a lot of people who still have generational families that live in the same area. A lot of chicken farmers still have chicken farms, and that was a prominent part of Jewish history, and they're still running them, and it affects them every day. And so the every route just connects right here, and we're just willing to grow and let it happen.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
When it comes to Jewish heritage, you were talking a little bit about, you cover a number of different times, and obviously, like any museum,
Mhm.
you try your best to cover as much as possible with a lot of information, but at the same time, you still need to go through the process of going through the others. So I'm curious with your heritage of Judaism, especially you were mentioning obviously the barn where the complex is, you know, is it, I guess, how do you present it at your museum, the different histories, and is there specific areas you focus on with the Jewish heritage?
Yes, so we really look at the immigration story. America is built upon immigration, and so that's a big part of the colonies and New Jersey, especially. And so we do it pretty much by centuries. So the 1800s, the 1900s was a big immigration of German Jews. You see later on, around World War One, you see Eastern European, Yiddish-speaking Jewish people coming here and forming their lives and businesses. And then you see this development of more synagogues in the area, and you see more community life being built, Jewish community centers, suburban life really growing, and people leaving cities and coming to Monmouth County, especially to from urban life to suburban life, can never speak. And so we focus on the good. We celebrate everything. We don't really talk about the Holocaust, but because there's so much more to Jewish history. And so it really is the progression of immigration and how it formed Monmouth County to how we know it today.
Fantastic. So, what type of programs? Well, I guess what type of programs do you have pre COVID-19, unfortunately, and then I would imagine the museum is closed at the moment due to obviously the
Yes.
virus. So, has there been ideas or is there plans for what future programming could look like? Which I know is a question a lot of places are struggling.
Yes. Especially because we care so much about the safety of our members and guests. We used to do a lot of programs. Almost every Sunday, we have a program. It was either a beautiful concert, a violin concert, piano concert, movies expressing Jewish heritage. We just had a great one about Rosenwald. And Rosenwald was the founder of Sears, and he was a big philanthropist and helped build schools in the South. And so we showcase a lot of stories and narratives within movies. We had an Albert Einstein impersonator. And so we do a lot of different things, what we think people would find entertaining. Plays happen. And so with COVID-19, we unfortunately had to cancel or postpone a lot of them. And so we hopefully in the fall, we can have more programs, but we have to be cautious of how many people are in the museum, proper cleaning, and what we can bring to the table. And so we're looking at different virtual programs we can do at the museum. We have a speakers bureau who has PowerPoints, and they talk about different parts of history. And so we're going to make a small video showcasing that. And we're trying to find other programs we can do, but it's also just going on our website. We have a lot of information on past exhibits, people are more than welcome to call us if they have any questions about their genealogy or anything about their family's history, because we have an archive. So people can have their own project, contact us, and we can help them as well. But in the sense of programs, it's up in the air, but we're willing to team in and help our community members grow and have joy in this unprecedented time.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So it's glad to hear that you're obviously so interactive, and that no matter what
Hmm.
the future holds, it's whatever's best for the communities, of course, to get
Yes.
to get the education. So I'm curious if you could talk a little bit, because you had mentioned about what exactly is part of your speakers bureau, because obviously I've heard the term before, but I'm very curious for Jewish heritage, what that looks like, and then I'll bring up a little bit more about your archives, because I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes
Yes.
to books, as you can see. So
Yeah,
I'm very, very curious about
me
your archives
too.
as well.
Yeah, so our Speakers Bureau is a series of programs that our history committee produces. And so they're in PowerPoints, and we go all over to Hadassah groups, Jewish community centers, or anyone who hires them, and they do a group presentation. And so one of the most popular one is Jewish Newport, which is about Long Branch, New Jersey. And we also have Jewish Nobel Prize laureates in science, and we're doing one in literature as well. And so with that, we have a beautiful PowerPoint presentation, and they talk about influential people into Jewish heritage and history. And it's great to see people learn about the Strauss family, who they never heard of before, and then see German Jews immigrating here and finding out that their histories connect to that. And we have a lot of people that come to these speakers bureaus, and they find out like their family's connected to it some way. So it's interesting to get out in the community, teach more about their community they live in.
Hmm.
And so speakers bureaus allows us to take our museum almost anywhere we can.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
Mm,
and
Go ahead, please.
no worry, I can talk about the archives probably for hours on end. So the archives is filled with news articles from Asbury Park Press or any histories. We have a lot of original photos that we keep that people graciously donate to us, and we preserve it for them to learn about. And we have books in there that talk about Jewish heritage in not just New Jersey, Monmouth County, or even the United States, but all over because of the immigration story. And so we have their histories, people's stories. I actually was digging in archives, and I found original pictures of the barn. So the barn right now is like a grayish blue.
Okay.
Well, when I looked at the papers, it said it was potato white.
Huh.
And you're just like, what is potato white? And so when you look at mashed potatoes, that was the color of the barn originally. And so you see a lot of different writings and how, history is told through papers. And there's advertisements as well, especially from Jersey Homesteads, which is in between Hightstown and East Windsor, which is now Roosevelt, New Jersey. And so we have a lot of early workings and documents about that as well.
Fantastic. So, for anyone who wants to like possibly find out about a document or something, what is the best place for them to get in touch with you, especially with the museum being closed?
Yeah, so they can email us via our website at jhmomc.org, or email me personally at jsolomon@jhmomc.org. And you can give us a call. We check our messages during this time at 732-252-6990. And we answer as soon as we can. We hope to find more information for you. And even if people have information they want to give us, we're more than welcome to accept it and help our archives grow and our history be expanded.
Well, I was going to say, do you also accept donations? Because you were mentioning about the expansion of the archives. Is there a process of doing that if anyone, let's say, has a family heirloom of their great grandparents' immigration or anything like that?
Yes, we do accept donations. There is a catch though. We do collect things from Monmouth County, so they would have to be a Monmouth County resident at any time in their lives and connect to Monmouth County's Jewish history. But we are always open for accepting more artifacts. It makes museum life more interesting. It's one of my favorite parts is collection stewardship. I love to touch things. I say I started working at a museum just so I can touch things and get paid for and not kicked out. And so if people are passionate about donations and archives, I would love to hear their input and what they have to bring.
So what brought your attention to this museum? Is this something that you had always dreamed to be the head of a Jewish heritage museum? Did you kind of fall into it? Like, what's your
Yeah.
connection to how you got there?
So I went to school for history. I love history. I actually used to tell people I want to be Betsy Ross. So I guess my next best thing is to be an executive director at a museum
There
because
you
it
go.
makes it a little bit easier. And so I'm actually from Monmouth County, born and raised. I've lived here my whole life. And I actually went to the opening of this museum accidentally. And so I used to say Solomon Way. I have no relation to Jonas or Levi Solomon, who the barn is named after, but it's on Solomon Way. So I used to think it was my road.
Oh,
Turns out it's not.
sorry.
But so all roads led to the museum. And when I was graduating college, I was given this opportunity, and I'm learning and growing, and the museum is learning and growing at the same time. And so I'm very blessed for this experience, and I get to do something I love every day, and I want to do for the rest of my life because I don't know what else I would do without museums. I go there when I'm happy and when I'm sad because they give me inspiration and hope, like I hope everyone else gets as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. So I'm curious, again, I realize that you're still in the process of probably working on whatever programming you're going to do post-COVID or
Mhm.
or whatever has to be done during COVID, but is there any particular, I suppose, exhibits or any type of program particular that comes to mind if you wanted to kind of have someone introduced to the museum, in other words? So I'm curious
Mhm.
what that would be.
I hope when the museum reopens that people get to see our Jews of India exhibit that we have up right now. It opened actually in December, but unfortunately, because of COVID-19, we had to close the museum and not many people got to view it. And so that is something so interesting. And I hope people come to the museum to see it because it shows that Judaism is all over. I mean, it's in Ethiopia and almost every continent. There's Jewish culture, but Jews of India is interesting because they've been around. They're one of the oldest communities, and um, Marco Polo and Christopher Columbus talk about Jews. A lot of Jewish pirates and sailing crew were Jewish, and so they all connected to India because that was a big spice trade at that time. And so there's multiple communities in India. We showcase in it the Baghdadi, the Cochin, and the B'nai Israel. And so I hope people are able to come see it. If they aren't available to come to see the museum, we have a lot on our websites about just hearing oral histories of World War II Jewish war veterans, which I think is another thing for people to get connected to a museum and then slowly, hopefully, come once we're open. And we have great programs, and so be on the lookout for that on our Facebook page, our website, or even if you see our social media, we also have Instagram that is updated regularly. And so I hope people are enticed to come because I love it and I want people to share my love for it as well.
So one more question I'll ask is one of the challenges, as I'm sure you're dealing with now, as many museums and organizations are, is of course fundraising at this time because obviously you need to keep the lights on in order to
Mhm.
get things going. So I'm curious, for your museum, has it mainly been grants, personal donations, or what has been the way to keep the lights on for your museum, or what are ways for people to contribute if they're interested?
Yeah, we're very blessed to have a lot of donors, individual donors, and we do get grants. Grants aren't as frequent as people expect when you have a nonprofit, and so we do rely mainly on donors from all over. And so we're actually having an annual appeal coming up late May, early June, and that is to help cover the costs of having a museum, especially if we aren't open, we're not making as much money. But we also recommend if they can't give during that time, we do Giving Tuesday in December, but we also accept membership. And membership is great because you get a publication called Heritage Highlights.
Mm.
And so you can hear about our programs that way. We have great stories and articles that profile notable people from Monmouth County. And so ways to give are amazing. And I hope that many people can donate. We have donation through our website as well, because we want to be here for as long as we can to harvest more information, preserve Jewish heritage and culture, because it's our responsibility in the world to preserve the past. And Teddy Roosevelt has a great quote: the more you know about the past, the better prepared you are for the future. And I believe that is so true. And so any way to give and for allow us to preserve the past for the present and future will be great.
Fantastic. Well, I want to Jessica, I want to thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me. And of course, I wish all the best to the museum and its future. To everyone who's watching, happy Jewish American Heritage Month. We hope to have you watching our video soon. Just very quickly, what is the best, I know you said the best way to email you. What's the best website to search for you for more information?
Yeah. Our website for more information is www.jhmomc.org, and you'll hear more about our programs, events, or anything that goes on within the museum. So thank you so much for this interview. I hope to see more people at the museum once we reopen, and have a great Jewish American Heritage Month.
Fantastic. So everybody watching, I just want to say stay healthy and stay safe. So have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.